Hello everyone, welcome and thank you for tuning in to Millennium Movies. I am your host, Jesse James. If you can't tell by my Freddy Krueger sweater, which is pretty sweet, I am excited as hell for the month of October. I love Halloween, I love horror movies. That's mostly what this channel's content is about. You know this if you're a subscriber, or if you're new, you're about to find that out. So today I'm going to be talking about my spoiler review for the brand new film, Cult of Chucky, which you can download today digitally, or you can buy it on DVD, or if you have Netflix, you can go ahead and watch it on Netflix too. The only downside is that I don't believe you will see the end credits cutscene that's at the end of the credits if you watch it on Netflix, because that's how I saw the film. And I didn't know that there was an end credit scene until I had looked up online and wanted to hear people's discussion about the movie. So if you want to see the end credit scenes, you can just go on YouTube and find it that way. But we'll get into that in a little bit. But first, this is going to be, like I said, my spoilers review, and as well as a little bit of theories as to what might happen in the upcoming installment of Chucky, which I believe Don Mancini's said that he's pretty much almost got done already. I mean, I'm pretty sure he said in interviews that he's done a lot of work on upcoming films, not just the 8th film, but even more than that. So very interested to see where this franchise goes. A lot of possibilities after this film. So let's just get right into it. I want to talk about Don Mancini, the director, creator, writer of the Chucky franchise. He is the man. He is the god of this franchise. He's the one who's, he's the be-all, end-all. So I gotta say, he's really good for this franchise. He really is, and he can direct a movie too. I mean, he's no slouch. His cinematography. I mean, there's some shots in this film that are generally creepy to me. Like, I mean, there's some shots that I really like. There's one in particular where I think it's even in a couple of trailers too, where Nika's character, she's like crawling and she's trying to crawl away, and she's right in the middle of the hallway, and in the background you can see on the wall to her, I believe it's to her left, you can see the shadow of Chucky, just slowly creeping and inching closer to her. And so I just think that imagery, it sticks with you. There's so scenes like that, shots like that. I mean, they're beautiful, and they're just nice. They're pretty to look at. So I think Don Mancini, there's a lot to be said for him, not just as a director, but as a creator as well. Because I mean, his script, I mean, you can tell it's a Don Mancini script. I mean, if you just look at all the past Child's Play Chucky installment movies, if you look at the script and if you pay attention to the way the dialogue flows or the action that's in there, it's all very similar because it's by the same guy. And I think that this film really benefits from that. And even the last one, which was Curse of Chucky as well. Of course, I don't think Curse of Chucky is as good as this film, because I don't know how he's done it, but Don Mancini's made a better film, and he's upped the ante rather than how they did in Curse of Chucky. I still think Curse of Chucky is still a good film. If you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix too. You can go ahead and watch it. I think it's an enjoyable film, especially if you're a Chucky fan. I think you'll really like it. But Cult of Chucky is not just, I think, a very good Chucky movie and a great installment into the franchise, but I think it's a movie that any horror fan can watch and pretty much enjoy. At least that's what I think. I really liked it. So moving on from that, I want to talk about some of the kills in this movie, because man, I mean, some of the kills in this movie. I mean, yeah, you would think you'd become desensitized to all the death and craziness of the Chucky movies, but this one, they pull no punches, straight to DVD. So they can go for it, man, and they really do. And I'm glad that they do. I can respect that as a fan. They're certainly giving me what I want to see as a Chucky fan. I mean, there's a scene in the movie. Like I said, spoilers. Of course, we're talking about spoilers. But there's a character. He's a multiple Mark. He goes by different names. He's like, Mark Zuckerberg at one point. He's Michael Phelps at another. And then sometimes he actually thinks he's Charles Lee Ray. So he's like on his knees at one point talking to Nika, who's not really Nika. It's Chucky in the body of Nika. And he's on his knees, and then from right behind him, one of the Chucky dolls one of the good guy dolls drills right through his eye. And it's disgusting. And then even worse than that, though, there's another scene where I forget the character's name, but it's a woman and she's laying, they got her strapped to the bed and she can't move. And Chucky, he's got like, I don't know what, like some type of mini propane tank. I don't know what it was. Forgive me about it. I don't know that kind of stuff. But he shoots it up into the ceiling, the glass ceiling. And oh man, the glass. First off, it looks so pretty. The snow's coming down, more beautiful shots from Don Mancini. But then the glass, Chucky, shoots it. Basically, all the glass comes down and just, oh man, the shards of glass just completely decapitate her head. I mean, it's amazing. It's incredible, really. I mean, just so much creative deaths on this movie. I think if you're, a fan of gore and stuff like that, you're definitely gonna like this movie. You probably really did like this movie. Of course, you're watching my spoiler review. But yeah, so the deaths, the direction of this film, the writing, the cinematography. I especially appreciate so much what Don Mancini does, in that he ties everything together. He gets little beats and little nuggets from each of the 7 films that we've had thus far, and the 6 prior to this one. He just takes little pieces from each of them and finds a way to incorporate them into this story without making it feel, too in your face. He really doesn't. I mean, you think about Andy. This movie starts off with Andy, and oh man, I gotta say, I'm cutting myself off here, but wow, those first 5 minutes of this movie are the best. That's the best intro to any Chucky movie I've ever seen, and all 7 of them, really. I mean, Andy's trying to go on a date, and like on a Tinder app, whatever the hell, and she Googles him, because that's the age we live in on the internet, where you can just Google someone, and she knows all about the fact that when he was a kid, on 3 separate occasions, that there was murders around him, and it's blamed on this doll, at least through his eyes. And so she's like, yeah, this isn't gonna work. So poor Andy can't get a date now that he's older, he's an adult. I mean, you think about the damage. You really think about the damage that Chucky did to him as a kid, and to the point where it's affected him all the way into adulthood. It's been like 30 plus years that Andy's had to deal with this nonsense, this craziness. And it makes sense that he's kind of a lonely, broken man at this point. And all he really has is Chucky. Chucky says it at one point too, because at the end of Curse of Chucky, in the end credit scene, Chucky mails himself to Andy's apartment and tries to kill Andy, but that doesn't work out. Andy blows his head clean. I mean, part of his head's just clean off, and so he keeps his head in like this little, basically it's almost like a little trophy case, behind a safe. And then he brings him out, and they share a cigarette. And I gotta admit, that jump scare where Chucky, bites and kind of shouts at Andy after he, blows out the smoke from the cigarette, that got me. I'll admit, that jump scare got me. I was right into it at that moment. But, oh man, the torturing of Chucky by Andy, totally deserved. He deserves that, and I love seeing that the character gets something that's rewarded. He deserves to do all those things to Chucky. Chucky's done so much horrible crap to Andy, so it's good to see Andy get his comeuppance. But yeah, so that first 5 minutes, like I said, perfect. It was like really creepy. It I don't know, it was kind of unsettling almost. Just how lonely it is. It's like you realize Andy, the same little kid we saw in Child's Play and Child's Play 2, is now a full-grown adult who's living by himself with a killer doll's head, decapitated head, and it is talking to him, and they're conversing, and he is torturing it. That is just completely out there. That's just completely messed up. I mean, poor Andy. I mean, wow. I mean, I just loved those first 5 minutes. I really did. It's a lot of craziness in this movie, but I appreciate it as a fan. I guess some other things I want to touch up on is Tiffany returning, not just Jennifer Tilly, but Tiffany as well. I mean, the end credit scene, or not the end credit scene, but the ending of the film. It's Chucky in Nika's body, and then it's Jennifer Tilly, and they're both like laughing together maniacally. And then in the back we see, Tiffany, the doll, bride of Chucky herself, is laughing hysterically as well in the back seat of the car. and they all drive off together. So, I mean, it's good to see her back. She's awesome. We love her. Fans of Chucky, you know, everyone knows Jennifer Tilly and what she means to the franchise. So just a great character to see return. I mean, she did return in Curse of Chucky, but she's in a more substantial role now in Cult of Chucky. And so we got to think of the name Cult of Chucky. At first, I didn't understand why, but then I started to slowly piece it together. And I know it probably took me longer than it did for you guys, but it did. And once I realized that, oh, wow, speaking of the day of the internet, Chucky can now, all he had to do was Google search, you know, this type of witchcraft spell, and now he can duplicate himself. So now he can be in multiple Child's Play good guy dolls, and he can even be in multiple humans. And I gotta say, this movie gets dark because Nika's niece, Jennifer Tilly, says just outright, she comes to visit her and says she's dead. And then Chucky later says to her that he basically duplicated himself. He was in her niece's body, and he murdered people as her niece. And then someone eventually fought back and killed Chucky as her niece, and that's how her niece died. That's messed up. That's just not cool. That's wrong. I mean, that's crazy. It really is. There's no other way to describe it. That's just horrible, really. And that's a kind of a sad point for me in the movie I was watching. I was like, oh, geez, that really puts me down. But of course, luckily at the end, it brings you right back up because, oh man, that we got to talk about that after credits scene where it's the return of Kyle from Child's Play 2. Yes, Andy's older step sibling, foster step sibling, whatever. But you know who she is. And Kyle, oh man, I used to have. I used to really like the Chucky movies, the Child's Play movies as a kid. I was kind of messed up, but I always had a crush on Kyle's character, and she still looks beautiful today. I gotta say that I cannot wait to see where they go with her character. There's so many possibilities, you know. And Kyle, and you see when she shows up to Andy's house that there's a picture of older Andy and Kyle kind of like hanging out, and that's just it's just so heartwarming. It's so sweet, you know, to know that Andy's not completely alone and that he's got Kyle there. They're still keeping touch, so that's really nice. That's really sweet. It's sweet moments like that bring it back up. But oh man, and it ends with her torturing the hell out of Chucky, and I think that's a perfect way to end it. And oh man, it leaves you wanting more. I cannot wait for the next Chucky movie. I mean, at the end of Curse of Chucky, I was like, oh yeah, cool, sweet, Andy. All right, let's get ready for the next one. And wow, does this one deliver? I mean, it really did. I cannot wait. I really can't. I want the next Chucky movie right now. I mean, it's the same way I feel. It's almost on the anticipation level as it is for It Chapter 2, which is a franchise series, you know, that I love dearly. You know, if you've stuck around with the channel for a while, you know that I love Pennywise and It and that whole novel and that movie and that miniseries, everything. But Chucky's right up there as well. Chucky's, you know, very close too. So as for where they take this series in the future, I'm not too sure, but I'm very interested into seeing where they go because Don Mancini, again, is so creative. He's a creative genius, really, when it comes to this franchise because he's found a way to keep it fresh and put a twist on Chucky and the series and the villains. You know, he's put a twist to it so that they can keep going and that it makes sense. So I don't know if it's going to be like all females now. You know, I don't know if it's going to be Jennifer Tilly, Nika, or Chucky in Nika's body, and Tiffany the doll. Is it going to be like a trio of like the Hell's version of Charlie's Angels coming after Andy and Kyle now? Like, are they going to go and try and rescue the original Chucky who's at Andy's house? How the hell is Andy going to get out of the insane asylum? Poor little Andy. And what's Kyle going to do? What's she doing? Is she going to be the one to put Chucky away for good? I think it still needs to be Andy or both of them, but you know, who knows where they're going to go? And I cannot wait. It's a movie that leaves you wanting more. It answers some questions from the last movies, but it also asks more questions. So, man, my anticipation for the next Chucky movie is very high. This is one that I really enjoyed. It's a great way to start October with new films. I'm going to be watching Gerald's Game pretty soon, which is another Stephen King adaptation. It's a Netflix original. I cannot wait to watch that. If you saw my What's Coming to Netflix horror video, you know, horror movies and horror series that are coming to Netflix, you probably know that there's some other movies and shows that I'm looking forward to watching and reviewing this month. So, I mean, wow, I can't really wait. We got a lot of stuff. I love Halloween. I love October. Let's get right into it. Hopefully you love it too. Hopefully you like this review. Hopefully you like this, you know, this channel. Maybe you like the content, you know, Halloween, scary stuff. It's going to be going on for the rest of October, as well as Walking Dead. Once The Walking Dead returns in a couple weeks, I'm going to be putting out coverage for that as well. Reviews and predictions videos for The Walking Dead. So if you like that type of content, guys, be sure to maybe hit the subscribe button if you'd like. I mean, it's free. It doesn't hurt anyone. It only helps. I'd appreciate it if you'd like to do that. Go ahead and like this video too if you'd like, and give me some comments. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. I can talk about Chucky all day. I can talk about it all day. I can talk about horror all day. I can talk about movies all day. I really can. It's hard to stop me sometimes. Okay, well, this has been Millennial Movies, and I will see you guys next time.